Hey everybody! There are some words you need if you want to learn to read. Sight words are called word wall twos. Listen up, I've got activities for you. Thank you for joining me this evening. I wanted to share some ideas for helping your children learn sight words. Did you know that 3 words make up about 10% of what we read? And 13 words make up 25% of what we read. And 100 words make up 50% of what we read. Well, it just makes sense that we need to have children learn these words. It will help them with their fluency as well as their comprehension. Now, I've heard it takes the average child 25 to 36 times to put a sight word in the brain. So you can imagine how many experiences, how many games, how many multi-sensory things we have to do to help children learn those words. So tonight I'll be talking about sight words, but you know what? You can use these same strategies for helping children learn letters or numbers or shapes. Or you might even have some special ed preschool children, and just to help them learn the names of animals. One of the pre-reading skills that we know helps children is called Gran, rapid automatic naming. How quickly can they see something and retrieve the word for it? So we start off with young children, showing them like pictures of fruits and vegetables and animals, and they retrieve it. And then we work into letters, and then we work into sight words. So all of these visual skills are very important. Some children are more kinesthetic learners. Some children don't learn as well visually. So I've got some tactile things that you can do too. So let's get started. And I wanted to also mention, I'm going to be doing individual sight words, but it's also important to do phrase cards. Phrases are 2 or 3 words that are often found together, and so if you chunk those together sometimes, that will also help. And also wanted to mention not to use these words in context, try to make sentences and try to give some meaning to the words when possible, not to teach them always in isolation. So wanted to share this idea. It's called lifetime words. A teacher told me that she told her children that these were lifetime words because if you learn them now, they'll be in your brain the rest of your lifetime. And so isn't that exciting? So to help children with word ownership, sometimes it's nice to have something that they can hold on to and save their words in. So little Altoids tins, you can ask parents to send those in, and children can save their lifetime words in the Altoids tin. And by the way, all of these activities are on my blog, drjeanandfriends.blogspot.com, so you can go there and get more information about these ideas. A word wallet, I show you how to do this on my blog spot. It's just a piece of paper, and you fold it within 1 inch from the top, glue the ends, and then fold it in half, and you have like a little wallet, and the children can save their sight words in their word wall wallet, or they could save letters or numbers or other things. One thing that we used to do in my kindergarten, every child had a little word ring, and whenever they wanted to learn a word, we'd write it for them and then punch a hole, and they could keep it on their word ring, and that way those words belonged to them, and when they were writing they could use their word ring. Another idea is to have the children make their own personal dictionary. So this is just a pocket folder, and there are 2 letters per page, and I've got these so you can download them off my website. But then as you introduce new words, or as children want to learn, maybe they're into baseball and they want to learn how to spell Braves, they can put their word here and add the word wall words as you put them up on the wall, and they have their own little personal dictionary for when they do their writing. Another thing that will help them is a word wall office. And this is just 2 file folders taped together, and you put a copy of your word wall in there. So when the children do their independent work, they put their little word wall office up on their desk, so they're sitting behind it like this. And this kind of gives them a little frame and helps them focus a little bit. Many times when they go from the word wall down to their paper, they lose it. And so if it's a little bit closer, it might be easier for them to do this. And then I just wanted to mention a website. It's called theschoolbell.com, and they have a clever technique for helping children learn sight words, and it's really good for differentiated instruction. If you go to theschoolbell.com, they have directions on how to organize it. They have a take-home letter for their parents. I wouldn't use this with kindergarten. To me, this is more of a first grade list activity, because each child has their own list, and they take their list, and when they master list number 1, they color it in, and then they move on to list number 2, so they can work at their own pace. But I think these lists are too long for kindergarten. I might start with like a list with 5 words or maybe 8 words. Nothing succeeds like success. So once they color in 5 and, oh yeah, I did my first list, that's, you know, success for them, and they want to keep on doing it. So some ideas for word ownership. And, you know, as usual, I'm just putting the World's Fair out there for you. So this is kind of like a buffet. Pick and choose what works best for you. Let's do some multisensory things. This is called rainbow writing. I mean, this is older than me, I think. So the children just write a word, and then they trace over it with different colors of markers or crayons and make a rainbow. You can do this as an independent activity. You can also get a big piece of chart paper and write a word on that large, and then during the day children can come up and they can trace over it and add to it. Now, this is what I call lottie-dottie. So if you, and again, these are really good for your tactile learners. If you make dots with a water-soluble marker and then put little dots of glue on top, what happens is the marker bleeds through, and the children can trace over this, and they can feel the letters as they say the letters and spell the word. And then what's really fun is to put a piece of paper on top of this and rub with the side of a crayon, and the dots show up, and then the children can connect the dots and they can read the words. So, you know, these are just a little hands-on things, and children, you know, children always enjoy doing things with their hands, so it's a good way to put it in the brain. Another thing that I like to use for tactile learners, this is plastic needlepoint canvas, and yep, they still sell this at craft stores. And so if you put a piece of paper on top and the children take a crayon and they write the word, when you lift this off, you will have a texture. And so, again, the children can trace it and read over it and feel it. Somebody suggested to me that maybe you would want to write the word with a pencil and then the children trace over with a crayon heavy, because we want to make sure that we get the right impression in the brain, and if they don't write it quite right, the brain's going to remember the wrong way instead of the right way. And, of course, Play-Doh's always good for rolling out Play-Doh and making letters and writing words. Now, I have a few games to share with you. This one came from a teacher when I was at the Texas Kindergarten Conference last week, and a lot of teachers gave me good ideas there. And this teacher just cut out frogs, and when she had a few extra minutes, she would just pull this up, and this would be a good transition activity. And she would just have the children read with her. Like frog, who do you see? I see play frog looking at me. Play frog, who do you see? I see with frog looking at me. And so you could change these to seasonal bunnies, or if your class is the whales or whatever, you could do it. But, you know, if you were 5 or 6 years old, would you rather read a frog word or would you rather read a flashcard? You know, very clear that kids love those. This is another game, a flashcard game. And I just wanted to mention, one time at a workshop, a teacher said that she got a little sand bucket and she kept it on her desk. And each month she would put different skill cards, things that they were working on during the month. And that's kind of important for skill mastery. Whatever it is you're really focusing on that month, to make your flashcards, put them in the bucket. And when you got a few extra minutes, you can pull these things out and do them with the children. Instead of using like rectangles for flashcards, it's good to use paper plates for some different activities, because when the children look at the plate, their eyes focus in instead of to the corners. And so with these paper plates, you can put these out on the floor and you can play a game like musical chairs, and you play some music and they dance around. When the music stops, they have to all find a word. They stand on their word, they pick it up and they read it. If they can't read it, they can ask their neighbor to help them. And then the teacher randomly points to 3 or 4 kids to read their word, and then you put them down and you keep playing the game. So the game can go on as long as you'd like. Another good game to play with the circle words is called word worm. So you make a little worm's head and you pass out the plates, and the first child takes their plate and puts it next to the worm and they read their word. The second child comes up, they read the first word, and then they read their word, and then they sit down. The third child comes up, reads the first word, the second word, the third word. Okay, so you can see how you've got that repetition going. And if you have a child who's not as confident, they can always ask the audience to help them. So they can read you want to read by yourself, or would you like the class to read with you? So anytime that we can help children, we never want anybody to feel bad. So I always encourage them to ask the audience to help them. One other game I wanted to share with you. This is called Johnny Jump Up, okay? And you can play this game with pictures of fruits and vegetables, letters, math facts, anything. And it's a little photo album, and one photo album will last all year. And so what you do is you write your words, letters, numbers, whatever you're working on flashcards, and stick them in here. And then you have a little Johnny Jump Up picture, or you could have 2 or 3 of these in here. Here's my Johnny, and you have the children hide your eyes, no peeking. Let's see where I'm going to put Johnny, and you stick Johnny in here, and then they read the words, see, you, and when Johnny Jump Up comes up, they jump up and say, Johnny Jump Up, and they try to scare you. So Johnny Jump Up is something that I change each season. I might have a bunny. I could do letters, and then for the younger children, and then have a little picture of a bunny. When the bunny comes up, they jump up and hop. Or for St. Patrick's Day next week, I could maybe have a little leprechaun, and when he comes up, they jump up and make a little leprechaun voice. But Johnny Jump Up is a handy thing to do. When I did my envelope activities a couple weeks ago, I showed you how to cut off the end of an envelope, and you pull out one letter at a time, and the children try to predict what word it might be, and they get a kick out of doing this. So again, this could be another transition activity. If you want to dismiss children to line up, you could let one child at a time read these. And last week in Texas, one teacher said that each day she put a sight word that they were working on her lanyard. And I know some of you wear badges or lanyards or different things. And she wore that all day long and could have the children focus on it. But when they wanted to talk to her, or they wanted to tattle or something, they had to read the word before she would listen to them. And she said it really decreased tattling because they had to read this word. So I thought that was a clever idea. And just a few more ideas. I've shared these before on my website and blog, but the high five words. So you would cut out probably like 5 hands and write your different sight words you're working on, tape them to the door, and every time the children go in and out the door, they high five a word and read the word. Or the teacher could say a word and then they have to high five that word that you call out. And one more. A supervisor. Every day you get a visor and you put a sight word you are working on, and the supervisor stands at the door, and all of their friends have to read the word before they can go in and out the door. So my time's up. I've been told I talk too long, and I'm supposed to keep these to 15 minutes. But if you learned one new idea from me today, would you put your thumb up next to your chest? If you've learned more than one new idea, would you put up a finger for each additional thing that you've learned? I hope you've learned at least 5 things that can help you in your classroom with purposeful practice for automaticity, plain old repetition to help children learn some of the skills that we're working on. So Take care. God bless. See you in a couple weeks for another Live at 5.